The 28th Ward is one of the more popular and most dense wards in the city, and one that everyone loves visiting. It's also one that can keep an alderwoman extremely busy. Heather Navarro serves as a 28th Ward alderwoman, and it's a job she relishes wholeheartedly.
You know, I really love talking to people. I love problem solving. So it really has been a joy and a privilege to be able to serve as alderwoman these last 3 years.
So tell us about the physical boundaries and neighborhoods that make up the 28th Ward.
So when I think of the 28th Ward, I first think of Forest Park, and then the neighborhoods on the west side. So that includes a little bit of Dogtown, the High Point neighborhood, and then those neighborhoods just to the west of Skinker. And then part of the WashU campus, the Hilltop campus, is actually in the 28th Ward. And then you keep heading north to the Del Mar Loop area, and then you get the Skinker to Bolivar neighborhood, a little bit of the Parkview neighborhood, and then it starts moving east, and then the Central West End.
Population-wise, compared to other wards, is it have a higher population?
Well, all the wards have roughly the same population, but it's definitely very dense. There are 6 neighborhoods that make up the 28th Ward. So High Point, the White Elm Skinker neighborhood, the Skinker to Bolivar Place, West End neighbors, and a little bit of Parkview. There are a lot of high rises. You think about the Central West End, and also the high rises that line the park along Skinker. So there's a lot of people occupying, not a whole lot of space, but it's because there's so many great things that attract them there, from the university and then the cultural institutions to the park. To me, it's Forest Park is the greatest treasure that the city has. It really is one of the things that helps us stand out, and it's a great asset in so many ways. So making sure that all of our neighborhoods are equally connected to it and that those resources are available to everybody is really important too. It's a really wonderful place for people to live.
It really is, and there's so much more. So let's talk about the business aspect that lies within your ward.
So there are a lot of great commercial districts. So the High Point neighborhood, the movie theater, the drive-in, the big Amico sign, which is now a historic landmark, and then the Del Mar Loop areas. We're seeing a lot of growth there. And then the Central West End. And then to Bolivar Place, too, a lot of people don't think about, but there's a lot of people who live there, and there's a great little string of restaurants, and it's another area that's growing really well.
Tell us a little bit more about what made your impetus for running to become an alderperson and get involved in city politics.
I have always been an advocate, I would say, since I was young. At one point it was rainforests, maybe it was about recycling. So that has always been there. I went to law school, again, driven by my desire to advocate on behalf of my community. And then when I moved to the Central West End and started raising my kids, I really started to love the city. I came to St. Louis to attend Washington University and ended up living here and starting my family.
And it didn't take long for Heather to get involved in the community.
Always looking for ways to improve our neighborhoods, so that starts with making sure that people are healthy and safe, looking at transportation options, making sure that there are accessible jobs, affordable housing. All of those things are extremely important.
I think of a lot of the neighborhoods the 28th Ward is in, because you talk about it bordering the city, right? It being a front door or a front stoop or a front window to our city for people who don't live in the city, or for visitors from outside our city and even the country. How does that impact the residents and the decision making you make as the alderperson there?
I think about the people who live there, and I also think about the people who work there, who are coming in on, whether by bus or by metro, and all those visitors to the park, whether they're coming in to go to the Muni, or they're visiting the zoo, or one of the museums. And so there is a lot of thinking about, okay, how do these people get around? How do they experience not just the ward, but as you said, it is how they experience the city. I spend a lot of time looking at public transportation options, figuring out, how can we maximize the assets that we have, whether that's the Metrolink stations, increasing access to Forest Park. So making sure that all of our neighborhoods are equally connected to it and that those resources are available to everybody is really important too.
Alderwoman Navarro also believes it's crucial to lend her support for community improvements and to help initiatives move forward, and that's why she works closely with Kate Haher from the Central West End Community Improvement District.
Our objective is to really, foster a vibrant and welcoming neighborhood for the community, for the residents and the visitors by supporting the needs of our businesses and creating a beautiful neighborhood, a vibrant neighborhood, enhancing the charm of the Central West End. Heather has been phenomenal. She's a wonderful support, wonderful help to the neighborhood, always, available, when we need assistance and really very helpful being strategic and kind of moving initiatives forward and working closely with the city and those types of things. We couldn't be doing the things we are doing without her support.
My foray, I guess, into city politics was working to redevelop a small 1/10 of an acre triangle piece of land into a neighborhood park. And you would think a small project like that, a neighborhood park. So I'm thinking this is a no-brainer. That's when I started going door to door to talking to neighbors. And that's when I really started meeting aldermen and finding out, okay, how does the Parks Department work?
She did successfully oversee the redevelopment of Samuel Kennedy Park. And these days it has water and climbing features for the kids.
Just in the last year, we had just some infrastructure repairs that we certainly needed taken care of in the neighborhood, and sidewalk, crosswalks that were crumbling, ramps that were crumbling, things that were unsafe. And Heather was terrific in helping us get those done and was able to help support that through some more capital and things like that.
She also helps out the East Loop Community Improvement District.
But on the city side of the loop, we are there to provide economic development support and also street enhancements, maintenance, and security. We work with Heather Navarro, Alderwoman Heather Navarro, on various issues. And right now, during the pandemic, we have been working with the businesses to support them with grants. And then we've also been working on street enhancements. So we're working on really cleaning up the area with new trees and just kind of cleaning up the street and new lighting and other things that will make the street more welcoming. So there are several initiatives. So there's a lot of shared information, and Heather's always included in all of that.
She also recently assisted the East Loop Community Improvement District in acquiring a radar street monitor as a reminder to watch your speed.
She is just a go-getter, I was amazed at how quickly we got the radar detector set in place, and we've had other concerns like with lighting and things, and she's great with working with the city staff, and so her follow-up is just amazing.
Tell me some of the challenges that are facing your ward.
Well, I think a lot of the challenges are the same that the city has. So, always looking for more growth and development because, the city is stronger. The more people who live here, that strengthens all of our institutions. It strengthens our neighborhoods.
This past year through the pandemic, it was just challenging for all the businesses. And Heather was extremely supportive in any way she could to say, what can we do to help? What can I do to help? What can we be doing? One thing that we launched this past year was the Central West End Streetery. And so we had closed down sections of Euclid to allow our restaurants to be able to expand out into the street, to have more dining, to give them more opportunity. And so, through the permitting process and working with the city, she was very helpful in making sure that her support was behind that. And that was a huge win. It was a big win for the businesses. And when the weather was nice, it gave the community and gave people somewhere to come outside and feel safe and be. So win-win for the community, win-win for the businesses. And, Heather was, instrumental in kind of working through that process with us.
Appointment to the Central West End Special Business District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that.
Whether she's on the floor supporting a new bill or offering ideas at one of our committee's meetings, Alderwoman Navarro is getting things done.
If this were to pass and go into effect in a year, if you wanted to start a short-term rental, you would have to show up on day one to get a permit.
Having that relationship and being able to help move some of those projects forward with the city are terrific.
Besides the Ways and Means Committee, Heather is also on the Legislation Committee, the Transportation and Commerce Committee, and last but certainly not least, the Parks and Environmental Matters Committee.
That's where we've spent a lot of time looking at the energy performance standards and solar readiness issues. So Board Bill 146 is a bill about making our city healthier and more resilient in the face of climate change. And these last couple of years, I've been able to sponsor and pass legislation to make sure that all new construction is solar ready, meaning that if you build a new house or a new business in St. Louis, it has to have the infrastructure to be able to essentially install plug-in solar panels.
I know of her work in the environmental community, and I really admire her on that level, how she weaves that thread through the work that she does, you know, just trying to incorporate more environmentally and sustainability projects into, you know, what is being done across the board. So I think overall that's really going to help the ward and ultimately also the city.
We're on track to reach our 20% goal of renewable energy. I am really excited about the work that I've been able to accomplish around energy efficiency and renewable energy. We are right here at the confluence of the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. And so we have more fresh water than we know what to do with, really. And I mean, this is water that is great for drinking, great for irrigation, great for brewing beer, great for transportation, and really being able to maximize that in an age of climate change, when we're seeing more flooding, when we're seeing higher temperatures. And so being able to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions is extremely important to me.
I think it's very important and on a regional level to have that focus. So, you know, I would say that's where, you know, we're really lucky to have her with her background and moving forward.
So we did pass legislation to start benchmarking our energy and water usage in all of our large buildings in the city. And the next step in that is to start looking at how we can reduce energy usage.
Navarro was also able to get a building energy performance standard bill on the books.
I mean, once we reduce our energy usage, that's going to improve air quality. It's also going to lower people's electric rates. So I think that's exciting.
We couldn't be doing the things we are doing without her support and, her vision and her drive.
Thanks to that vision, St. Louis recently passed electric vehicle ready legislation, requiring all new construction be electric vehicle plug-in ready, even some large parking lots. Former Mayor Lyda Krewson signed the executive order authorizing the city to begin using its 4 new electric cars.
And I think that's the sort of thing that is going to literally put St. Louis on the map. If you have an electric vehicle and you're doing a long road trip across the country, you're going to look to see where can I stop and charge. And St. Louis, we want St. Louis to be one of those places.
She also found her service on the Health and Human Services Committee very rewarding.
So through that committee, being able to talk to the city, find out how can we best serve our residents, making sure that they were getting tested, looking into how we were doing contact tracing, also making sure that everybody has access to affordable, healthy, fresh food, making sure that temporary food permits are available, and in addition to that, making sure we have a comprehensive plan to address violent crime and its causes, and those are really public health issues.
How do you connect with your constituents?
I go to a lot of neighborhood meetings. So, that's often in the evenings, on the weekends, block parties. So I love to do as much in person as possible.
She also finds time to post about issues and updates on social media and to send out a monthly newsletter, but finds one-on-one the most satisfying.
I just think that's the best way to get to know people and the best way to understand what they're going through, what their questions are, and to be able to really have in-depth conversations. So to me, that's the best way whenever we can meet in person.
What does your family think about your role?
I bring to them often some of the problems that I'm looking at, or ask them, what would you do in this situation? Or do you think people will be happy or upset when they find out about something that's happening in the neighborhood? So I think they appreciate that.
We look to our elected officials to be forward-thinking, be visionaries, and really think, where are we going next?
Our job as legislators is to take care of the people who live here. And part of that is making sure that we have the revenue and the resources to do that well. And St. Louis is built to be a big city. And I think we all thrive when our schools are full, when our businesses are thriving, when our restaurants are full, and our neighborhoods are well connected. And so a lot of my job is getting to show off a lot of the really wonderful things that we have in the city of St. Louis.